it's Martha here with you, and this is my third design team project for Country Craft Creations for August 2019 using the Simple Stories Happy Haunting collection. And with this one I thought I would try something a little bit different. As I was going through the collection, I noticed quite a bit of the papers are very much fall themed versus Halloween themed, so I thought I would make a fall folio with this collection. And so I've kind of saved, as you can see, I've used about 90% of the stickers, but I kind of saved some of them that were just fall themed versus Halloween themed to add throughout the book. And then I saved some of the seam binding here, the pink and black white seam binding. And these are the papers that I felt were more Halloween or fall themed than Halloween. So this one here does have these on the other side, but it is very much just neutral. And then this was just one of my scraps, but again, just neutral. And then this one here, it does have these stars, but I think that still works for fall. And then there's this pretty floral one here. And then it's got this really nice black check on the other side. And then this, again, this floral here. And then it does have the 3x4 cut aparts on the other side, but I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use it for this side. And then there's this really beautiful pattern there, and this one as well. So I think either one of those would work. And then there's this one. This is completely neutral. And then there's this buffalo check again with that really pretty paper on the back. And then again, this one with the orange background. And then there's the chevron. And then again, it has the 4x4 cut aparts on the other side, but I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use it for this side. And then there is an orange polka dot with the bats on the back, but I will use the orange polka dot. And then there's again this one with the 2x2 cut apart. So quite a bit there that we can absolutely use for fall versus Halloween. So the first thing we're going to do is, just get it off there. Okay, so to get started, let's go ahead and wrap our cover. So the first thing you're going to need is some wet glue. I'm using my Fabri-Tac. And you're going to need some score tape. This is the 3/8 inch. And you're going to need some 1/4 inch tape. You could use the 3/8. I just prefer to use the 1/4 inch. A bone folder, and you're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard that measures 7 1/4 by 5 1/2, and one that measures 7 1/4 by 1 1/4. So the first thing we need to do is attach our 8 1/2 by 11 pieces together, and we're going to attach them together on the 11 inch side. And I just put a piece of 1/4 inch score tape along there, and we're just going to remove the backing, and we will just attach them together. Like so. And then the first thing we're going to do is attach our spine piece. So I'm just getting out my Fabri-Tac here, and I'm just putting it all over the back of my spine. And we are going to attach it, leaving about 1 inch from the top. We're going to end up cutting off some of the bottom here, so don't worry about that. Just try to get it nice and straight. And then we will attach one of our 7 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch pieces next to that. Just try to get your glue nice and evenly on there. And we're gonna leave about 1/8 of an inch of space right there, so that our cardstock has somewhere to go. And then we'll just attach the other one. Get the glue nice and even all over it. And again, we're going to attach it leaving about 1/8 of an inch of space, just like so. And then you can take your bone folder, flip it over, and give it all a good burnish. Spread that glue out so it really adheres well. And we can flip it back over, and we can go ahead and trim some of this off. Just like so, maintaining that inch or so border. Doesn't have to be exact. And then we're going to go ahead and fold it all over and burnish it down nicely, just like so, all the way around. Alright, and we've got a little bit too much on both sides here, so we can go ahead and trim some of that off. You could leave it on there, it wouldn't make much of a difference. I just find it a little bit easier without that extra bulk. Alright, so now what we need to do is, by folding, we've created these squares in all of our corners. So what we need to do is take our scissors, and from this line we're going to come in a little bit to here, and we're going to go about right there, and we're going to leave about 1/16 of an inch of space between the edge of our chipboard and the edge of our cardstock, so that when we fold it over we have a nice neat fold on the corner there. So we're going to do that all the way around. Alright, so now we can go ahead and attach our score tape, and we're going to attach it all the way to the bottom of the chipboard here, all the way across, and then we are going to attach it to all the sides of our cardstock across the top. Alright, so we've got our tape all attached and nicely burnished. So we're going to start by removing 2 of our short sides of tape on our chipboard, and then both of these long sides here. And then we're just going to bring it in and smooth it down to the edges, just like so, and then we'll flip over to the other long side, and we will do the same thing. We've already pre-folded everything, so it should just go down right where it should be. And then we will just bend these little corners in a tiny bit, just to get a neater edge. And then bring this in, smooth it down nicely. And then we'll do the other side. Just like so. Alright, and then once you've got all of that done, you can go ahead and go around with your bone folder and just burnish everything down. All right, and now we can just get our creases going here. And then on the other side. And then we fold it in, and there is our cute little cover for our folio. All right, so now let's go ahead and get our piece on that's going to hide our spine. And this piece measures 7 tall by 3 1/4 wide. And we're gonna go ahead and attach some score tape to the inside of our spine. And then on the outside as well, where our spine attaches to our page. Just like so. And then also to all 4 sides of our cardstock piece. And then we'll go ahead and remove all our backings. Alright, so we've removed all the backings and we burnished our tape down before we took those off. And now we're going to go ahead and line it up, and we're going to leave about 1/8 of an inch from the top and the bottom and center it on there as best as possible. Alright, that looks good about there. So once you like it, just go ahead and plop it down. It's a very technical word, plop. And then just go ahead and give it a really good burnish, especially in these upper and lower sections here, because you really want that piece down very well. So now we're going to go ahead and lift the side a bit while we just go back and forth in the general area of where our spine meets our front and back cover. Just so it kind of reveals that line for you. And I'm just using this flat part down here for that. I'm not using the tip. I don't want to tear into my spine. Alright, so now just slowly fold it up, just like so. Alright, so now our little book is ready for our pieces to go in. Alright, so starting with our first flap, that's going to go over here on this side of the book, and it's going to flip out like this. Starting with that first flap, it measures 6 1/4 by 7 1/8, and these score marks you're going to do 1/2 inch and then another 1/2 inch, and it's going, so you're going to have a gusset like this. Alright, so now we're going to lay this piece open. So the first thing we need to do is attach our little belly band here that's going to hold our mechanism in place, and it measures 6 1/4 by 2 1/2, and you're going to score 1/2 inch on each side. And then I've already attached my score tape and then just mitered my edges here. So it's going to attach right here about 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and remove one side of my backing first, and I'm going to align this side here first because I have not removed my backings. And I'm going to be super careful that I'm not passing this score line here, because otherwise it will not open for me. Alright, so attach it there, so we can go ahead and press that down, and then open it up and remove the backing there, and then just go ahead and smooth that on, just like so. Alright, so now that's done, and we can just move that aside for a minute and work on our little mechanism piece. So So the mechanism piece measures 4.5 by 7.25. So it's a 4.5 wide by 7.25 tall. And you're gonna put it in your scoreboard and you're gonna score at 4.25 on the 7.25 inch side. You're gonna score at 4.25. And then after 4.25, you're gonna score every half inch until you get to the end. So you're gonna score half inch, half inch, half inch, half inch, half inch, and then just till you get to the end here. And then this piece, the very top piece, is going to fold back like so. So it's going to fold under. And then the rest of these pieces you're going to attach score tape to. So you're gonna attach a piece of score tape on the 4.25 inch section right across here. And then you're gonna attach one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. And since they're half inch sections, I'm going to use my 3/4 inch, or my 3/8 inch tape. All right, so I've already done that on this piece here. So you'll notice I folded the top section back. It's folded back, and I did attach score tape there. And then these pieces all have the tape running all the way to the top there. Okay? So now what we need to do is we need to take another piece that measures 4.25 by 6.75, and we're going to attach this piece to there. So it's going to attach there to the back of our mechanism. With this flap here, it's going to attach right there. So I'm just going to go ahead and just remove a little bit of my tape and bend it up there. I'm going to line up the bottom because it's going to be the exact same size once this piece is folded in. So just go ahead and line up the bottom as best as you can, and then you can press that down and then move this over, or remove it, sorry, and then give that a good burnish and then fold it over. And if you do have any hanging over at the top, oops, which can happen, just go ahead and trim that off if you have any excess there. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we've got our piece all ready to go. 6 pieces of cardstock that measure 4.25 by 4.25, and I am using the 65-pound weight cardstock for this piece and this and these because I just find it flips and folds easier, and I will specify that in the cut list down below, just so you guys know. All right, so I'm going to start with this very first section here, and I removed the tape, and it's going to be the exact same size. So I'm going to go ahead and line it up to the bottom, and then once I have it lined up, I'm just going to go ahead and let it drop. And I'm going to be careful as I'm going along to not pass the score line that we created here, because if I were to take this piece and attach it on, and it would go above this score line here. Let me show you in the one that doesn't have the tape on it yet because it's easier to see. If I attach my piece and it's going above this score line, it's not going to flip properly. So you have to make sure as you're attaching all your pieces that you're attaching them just like a hair below your score line. You don't want to go too far down, but just a tiny, tiny hair below. And that's going to give you the best flipping mechanism. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and attach my next piece. And I'm just going to remove a bit of my backing and line it up. Again, just a teeny tiny bit below that score line. All right, and I'm going to press down over here and then remove my backing. And then I'm just going to go continue up and attach the rest. All right, so I've got all my pieces attached. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fold back, and we're going to go ahead and just reinforce our score lines, just like so. So just fold them all back and just reinforce those score lines. All right, so next what we're gonna do is we're going to attach a piece of score tape in here to the bottom of our belly band. And I'm going to attach it leaving about 3/4 of an inch or so on either side. Just like that. And we're gonna burnish it down, and we're attaching it all the way to the bottom of this belly band here that is on our flap that we created. That's going on this side of our book. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and slip our mechanism under. So the back part of our mechanism is gonna go under. And I want mine lined up all the way to the top here. So I'm gonna push it up. I'm gonna line it up all the way to the top, and I'm gonna make sure it's centered on both sides all the way down. So I've got it lined up to the top, and I want it centered on both sides all the way down. Then I'm gonna go under here, I'm gonna lift this, and I'm going to remove the backing from my tape, and then I'm gonna let that fall, and I'm just gonna give it a good press down right there. All right, so then when we go ahead and go under here and pull the back piece, we get our nice flip. All right, just like so. Okay, so that is our mechanism. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna pull out the bottom part of it again. All the way, not all the way out, just as far out as you need it. And I'm going to grab my crocodile, and I'm going to punch a hole with the smaller side. I'm going to punch a hole about an inch in or so and try to keep it centered as much as possible, just like so. And then I'm going to take some white thread, just a section of it, and I'm going to loop it through that hole, and then I will go ahead and tie it on, and then we can trim some of that off and then push it back in just like so. And now we will have something to pull our mechanism with, because otherwise we'd constantly be having to searching for it under there. All right. So now we can go ahead and attach this piece into here. So I'm just going to remove a little bit of my backing back here. I've attached my 3/4 inch tape to my 1/2 inch section there. And I'm gonna attach it just kind of centered right into these two corners here. And it's gonna leave about 1/8 of an inch. All right, give that a good burnish. And now we can go ahead and stand our little section back up there. And now I'm going to go ahead and repeat that exact same process on this side, except for my flap will obviously come in going this way. Okay guys, so I've gone ahead and attached my other flap to this side that is identical to this one here. And then on the inside here, I've attached 2 pieces of pattern paper, and they're actually the same one, just the front and back. And it measures 5 1/4 by 7 1/8. So 5 1/4 by 7 1/8 on both sides here. So now we're going to work on the back, the front inside cover, and it's going to have a nice large pocket. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece of black cardstock. Now this is the 110 pound, as are our flaps, if I haven't mentioned, but again, that's all going to be in the cut list down below. So it's 7.5 by 11, and on the 7.5 inch side, I scored it 1/2 inch, and then again at 1, and then flipped it over and scored 1/2 inch, and at 1. And on the 11-inch side, I scored at 6 and 6 1/4. So now we're going to flip it so that the 6-inch section is towards the top. And we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut out this whole entire section here. So we're going to start cutting here all the way up, and we're going to go past the first score line to the second score line, and then we're going to cut across just like so. Okay, and the same thing on the other side. This time I'll start up here, starting at that first score line, and then I'll flip it over because it's easier on this side, and then cut right up along that score line all the way to the second score line. There. So our piece should look like this. So I'm just going to move my book aside here for a second just so I can fold properly here. Alright, so we're going to fold up our first score line from the bottom, and then the second one, just like so. Alright, and that's going to give our pocket a 1/4 inch depth. So now we can unfold that, and we're going to fold in the first score line on the side here, give it a good burnish, and then we're going to fold the second one back onto the first flap, just like so. And then the same thing on the other side. Fold back the first one, good burnish, and then fold the second one back on top of the first one. The secret to a clean looking mini album is burnishing, 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 and really getting those score lines nice and tight. So now we're going to go ahead and attach our 1/8 of an inch, or sorry, our 3/4 of an inch score tape. And I'm going to attach it all the way to this edge here on our flap that's going to come up onto the pocket. Same thing on the other side. Just like so. Give it a good burnish. Alright, now we will just remove a bit of the bottom here, fold it out so we can see it, and then we're going to bring it up, and we're going to make sure that our bottom here is nice and square, and that our edge lines up with the outer edge of our flap, just like so. That's how it should look. Now we can go ahead and remove the rest of that backing and still just guide it up, train it up so that those edges are still meeting really nicely there, and then just burnish it down like that. And then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. So again, just remove a little bit of that backing, make sure it's nice and squared up at the bottom here, and then give it a good press, and then again just guide it up. And in this case we could actually probably just go ahead and remove this and press this down here, and then that's going to ensure us a nice flat pocket. And if you do have, like this one is hanging over a bit there from the front, you can just go ahead and trim some of that off there. Alright, so there's our cute little pockets. So now let's work on the top of our pocket here. So this piece measures 3 3/4 by 5.5, and on the 3 3/4 side you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 3/4 of an inch. So that's again going to give you your 1/4 inch gusset, just like the bottom of our pocket has. All right, and then next you're going to need a piece of your pattern paper that measures 5 1/4 by 2 3/4, because this section here is 3 inches. And so you're going to just line them up together here, and I am using my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper, and it is the one that has the photo and the angle. And I'm just lining these two up together so that I can get the same angle when I punch. You can also just do this with your scissors. Not a big deal at all. And give that a punch, and then these are going to line up really nicely together. But the first thing we need to do is attach our circle and our little eyelet here and our twine for our closure. So I've got a 1 inch little circle that I just die cut, and I've got an 1/8 of an inch eyelet, and I've got my string, if I can find the start of it here. All right, I've got my string. So we're just going to line up our little circle where we want it. Try to center it as good as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm basically going to take my crocodile and I'm going to punch in as far as I can, as far as it'll let me. And I'm using the larger side this time. The larger, that makes the larger hole. So this is the smaller side, and this is the larger side. So that's the side I'm going to use. And I've got my circle there, and I've got my paper, and I'm going to go in as far as it'll let me, and I'm going to punch. Then I'm going to take my string and run my string through the back, just like so. And I'm going to line it up so that it's up and down like this. And then I'm going to take my little eyelet and I'm going to put it through the hole, and I'm going to make sure that it stays lined up straight up and down. And then I'm going to go ahead and set my eyelet with the top of the crocodile. All right, give it a good hard press. Okay, and now I can go ahead and trim off the excess back here. Just like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to attach this piece to the top of my pocket here. And I'm just using my art glitter glue for that. Just like so. Alright, and then I'm gonna just line it up right in here. Nice and neat. I just love that with this particular collection I can get a fall book and a Halloween book out of it. All right, now so for my next piece, which is going to be this piece that's going to go down here, this piece measures 5 3/4 tall by 5 1/4 wide. So 5 3/4 up and down and 5 1/4 wide. And it's going to be the piece that attaches to my pocket like this. All right, but before I can attach it, I need to get my next closure piece on. So I'm going to go ahead and just line these up in here. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to take my circle again, and I'm going to take my crocodile, and I'm going to punch in as far as it'll let me, just keeping it centered as best as I can. And again, I'm using the larger hole. So I'm going to bring the circle down to meet it. And I'm going to punch. And for this one, we do not need the string, we just need the eyelet. So go ahead and put the eyelet in and just set it. And then we can go ahead and attach this piece here. Give it a good press down. Just like so. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and attach the top flap of my pocket to the bottom. And I am going to just go ahead and put a little bit of glue right here and right here on the back of my pocket. And I'm just going to attach it to my lid right below the score line. Make sure not to go past that first score line there. And then give it a good press before you move on. And then you can try just closing it down. Make sure it's nice and even. What a cute pocket. All right. That should be good now. So now we can go ahead and cut some of that string off. And before we attach it, before we do the twine, we're going to attach it into the book. All right, so this is where it's going, right here. And we're just going to center it as best as possible. And I'm just going to attach it, yeah, just pretty much centered up and down. You can remove the backing of this here. Get your glue all over the back of it, even over this, so you can move it if you need to. All right, and we're just going to center it between our two score lines and up and down. Make sure you don't go past either one of your score lines. All right, and then once you have it, you can lay it open and grab a ruler, or if you have something else you could use, and just go down and press it down inside there. All right, and now we can go ahead and close it up. And then trim off your excess twine there. All right. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the flap that is coming off the front inside cover. We're gonna work on the back of it. And the first thing you're gonna need is our little sideways pocket piece here, and it measures 8 1/8 by 3 1/2, and you're gonna score 1/2 inch on each side. And then I've attached my score tape to my flaps, and then I've also attached an 1/4 inch score tape that's gonna go here, that's gonna attach to this side of our flap here. But before we attach it, we are going to use the envelope punch board on it. So you're gonna align, I'm just gonna turn it over to make mine easier. You're gonna align this score mark from our flap with the 1 1/4 inch measurement there, like that. And you're gonna punch. And then we're gonna move it over and we're gonna align the same score mark with the 2 1/2 inch line here. And punch. So for your pattern paper that's gonna go on top of your pocket, it measures 6 7/8 long by 3 1/4 wide. And you're gonna line it up. I'm just turning mine over so it's easier for me. You're gonna line it up at 1 inch. So the line that's just above this blue thing here, the last line you can see is 1. And then you're gonna bring it over and align it to 2 1/4 and punch. And then I've already cut out my little section here, and I'm gonna show you how to do that on your on your cardstock piece here. So you're gonna need something to cut on, a cutting surface, and a metal ruler, just like so. And we're just gonna line it up so that the metal ruler is touching the bottoms of our little dips there. And then you need your craft knife, and we are just going to cut right across there. So we cut out this whole circular section there. Okay, just like that. And then you can go in with your scissors if you need to clean it up a bit. Just snip it away there. And then this piece is gonna line up right in there like that. So let's go ahead and attach this first before we attach our pocket down. All right, go ahead and attach it first. A little bit easier to do when it's nice and flat, just like that. Go ahead and erase my markings in here. All right. So now let's bring our book back in, and we will attach this right here along this flap here, making sure that we've closed the bottom up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and remove the top section of my tape, and I'm gonna line up the bottom, and I'm gonna stay about 1/16 of an inch away from this score line here. This score line here, I'm gonna stay about 1/16 of an inch away from it. And then once you have it where you want it, you can just go ahead and release that up there. And then we'll fold it back and remove the backing from the bottom and the other side. And then just go ahead and make sure it comes down nice and flat. And then we'll press down this side here. All right, so now on top of this pocket here, we have another pocket. And this pocket measures 4.5 by 3.5, and you're gonna score 1/2 inch on both sides of the 4.5 inch side. And then you're gonna do the same thing with the envelope punch board, except this time it's even. So I punched in at 1 1/4 on both sides here, and then I cut out my middle section. And then for the pattern paper, I punched in at 1 on both sides, and then I cut out my middle section, and then I just attached it on. And then I've attached my tape to the sides here, and then also to the bottom. So again, we'll just go ahead and remove one of our sections of the backing, and we're gonna line it up, and it's the exact same size as our pocket, as our original pocket, so it's gonna go right on top of it. And then just press it down, and then we'll open it up and remove the rest of our backings, just like so. And then I also have to erase some of this jazz in there. All right, give it a good burnish down, just like so. All right, so now we're gonna work on our little piece, our little flip out that comes over on this side. So you're gonna need a piece that measures 4 3/4 by 8.5, and you're gonna score it in the middle at 4 1/4. And on this side here, you're gonna score it at 4 1/4 as well. Okay, and then what we need to do is we need to cut out one of these sections here. Okay, so we've got this long 1/2 inch line here, and we just need to cut out one of those sections, like so. Just go ahead and cut it out, and then you can go ahead and angle that up, and we'll angle that in. All right, and now this is going to attach here, so we need to fold it back on itself like this. So it's going to attach here. and then we'll fold this one down like so. So your piece should look like this. You should have your top that's going to flip up, and then this little section here that's going to attach to our book, and then the whole thing would open up like this. So we'll go ahead and add our tape to the back here of this section, just the little section that's going to attach. All right, and then you can pretty much decide where you want it on here. I just kind of want it centered. So I'm going to remove that whole thing. And make sure my opening is going towards the top. And then I'm just going to press it down just like that. All right, so now we have to attach the little pocket down here that our little insert is going to go in to keep this closed. So my little pocket measures 4.5 by 1 1/4, and on the 4 1/4 side, you're going to score 1/2 inch on both sides, and then you're going to attach your tape like this, and then across the bottom. So I'm again just going to remove one of my sections, and it is the same width as our second pocket. So we can just press that down, and then we'll open it up and remove the backings. And then we can just bring it down and it'll go right where it should. All right, and then for the little closure piece, you need a piece of black cardstock that measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then I've attached a 3 by 4 piece of pattern paper here. And then this is just going to close up like this. And then this will stick in there and it'll keep it all nice and closed. All right, so let's work on our back inside cover now. So you're going to need a piece that measures 6 3/8 by 5 1/4. And you're going to score 1/2 inch on both sides. And we are again going to use the envelope punch board. And we are going to punch in, we're going to line up our 1/2 inch score mark there with the 1 1/2 over here, and punch. And then we're going to flip it over and line up the other one with the 1 1/2, so we have an even section. For the pattern paper, you're going to need a piece that measures 5 by 5 1/4, and on the 5 1/4 inch side, so it's only 1/4 inch wider, so just be aware of that. You're going to punch at 1 1/4, flip it over, and punch at 1 1/4 again. So now you have that even section, and that's going to fit right in there like that, but we're going to go ahead and cut those pieces out. So again, you need your cutting surface and your metal ruler. And you're just going to line up those bottoms with the metal ruler. And then grab your craft knife and just cut out that section. Alright, so that one's done, and then we'll do our pattern paper. Just like so. Alright, now those two can get attached together here. Just like that. So we'll go ahead and add our glitter glue to the back. That I always forget to put the pin in. Get the glue all over the back there. And then just attach it on there. Nice and even. Alright, and now for our second little pocket that's going to go down here. This pocket measures 6 3/8 by 3 inches,
and you're going to score 1/2 inch on both sides. And then this piece measures 5 1/4 by 2 3/4, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to punch at 1 1/2 on both sides and then cut that center out. And then for your pattern paper, you're going to punch at 1 1/4 on both sides of the 5 1/4 inch side, and then just go ahead and cut that center line out. So we can actually go ahead and attach this to the top of our pocket before we attach it into the book. Just line it up nicely right on top of the other one. And then we can press down and then open it up and remove that 1/4 inch section at the bottom and the side here as well, and then just press it down nice and even. Alright, so now we can attach this whole thing into our book, just like that. So go ahead and remove one side of your backing and make sure that you're centering it right between those score lines. Don't go over them. Press that down, and then we can open it up, remove the backing, and then just smooth it down nicely. All right, and then we can go ahead and get our bone folder and just really press everything down and reinforce it. All right, so now we're gonna work on the flap that comes off our back inside cover. So this flap here. All right, and as you can see, I've already done this once. So you're going to need, first you're gonna need 2 pieces that measure 5 by 3 1/2, and for your cardstock, and then you're gonna score at 1/2 inch on the 3 1/2 inch side, and then you're gonna need for your pattern paper, you're gonna need a piece that measures 4 3/4 by 2 3/4, and you're just gonna line it up with this piece here right into the corner, and we are going to punch. And again, we're just using our We Are Memory Keepers Crocodile Corner Chomper, and I'm using the angle side. This is the pink one. There's all kinds of different colors of them. All right, so that is what you're gonna have, and so you're gonna want to do that with both your pieces, and I already did that. So now we're gonna go ahead and attach our flaps to this piece here, but not yet our pattern paper. So go ahead and remove a bit of your flap. So it is slightly shorter on both sides than the flap, so you're gonna have about a 1/16 of an inch on both sides. So go ahead and attach it down like that. And then we'll attach our bottom piece as well. So the flaps are going to come in top and bottom, just like that. So just remove again a bit of your backing, line it up where you want it, and then just remove the rest of your backing, just like so. Okay, and now you need a piece that measures 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 of your cardstock, and it is going to go on here, and it is going to be what keeps these flaps closed. But first we need to start at the back. We need to start adding our magnets, and you're going to need 6 magnets in total for this page. So the first thing we need to do is add a magnet right around there, and then one right about there. Okay, so just put them down and then put your tape across like so, so they're nice and held down. All right, and now you can close them and let the other magnets on the top here catch where they want to. And then you're going to go ahead and again just secure those down. All right, and now you're going to take some tape and put it upside down on this piece here, upside down on the top of your other magnet. I think I'll just let that one catch, and then like this. That'll hold itself down that way. All right, and again, let that one catch. Put your tape down and put that one down right there, okay? So now with your 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 piece, you're gonna put it on top of that so that your 6 1/4 is going towards the top. And you're gonna center it right in there where you want it. So it kind of has an even border all the way around. And then press it on so that that tape catches. And then go ahead and turn it around and press your tape down on top of there. All right, and then that's gonna snap on and keep that nicely closed. So that is the end of the tutorial. That is all you need to know for putting this really cute folio together. You'll see the finished product in the walkthrough, and I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. I really enjoyed making it. So I'm just gonna go through, cover my magnets, and just mat it, and it's going to be done. So if you liked it, please give me a like and subscribe, and go ahead and comment. I love to see your guys' comments. Have a wonderful day.